Part 5. Why imposter syndrome is good for you and you should love it. Like the hopeless romantic that Helen is.
Hopeless technology romantic,
There
not
you go.
not regular romantic. Agreed. If I was offered a pill that could cure my imposter syndrome, I would not take it. It
Hmm.
is a gift to me, even though I hate it. It stresses me out. Sometimes it's wrong or misstated. More often, telling me something, it's challenging me, it's pushing me to do better, think differently. I wouldn't want to get rid of it. I think it's a gift and talent. Now, I see times in people's lives, my own included, where it is bad,
Yeah, too much of anything is not good.
right? And in the pivot, like we talked about in the first and second episode, especially when I bring new students into their first corporate career through practicum opportunities, my gosh, the imposter syndrome is just absolutely raining down on them. That, if I could take the edge off it any way that I can smooth it out for them, it's really, really critical. But as you mature in your career, embrace your imposter syndrome. It's what's going to make you better. Because if you didn't have it, aren't you just sitting around saying, I got this? Like, well, what's driving you?
What have you learned now that it's not mysterious and intimidating to you, now that you've dealt with it long enough? What have you learned that it means for you personally?
Hmm. Uh, a few things. I've learned that it means I need to, if there is time, stand up and walk around right away and not just sit in this negativity. Like I need it out of my head, out of my clouding my vision and lower so that I can still think clearly while listening to it. Maybe, shift it to the side. Um, it I forgot the question. So I hope you're going to cut this out, right? Because
I don't know how to edit.
oh man.
Well, I mean, if you forgot, I can just go and then you can come back to it.
Yeah, no, I have these recent rolling brain blackouts, which are really exciting. I assume that that's
Yeah, I
just
mean, it spices up life.
absolutely taking over. Yeah, definitely. This is happened on stage once a couple weeks ago, and now super fun. Normally I can fake it, didn't fake it. Actually, there we go. Now it's just launched on something new. I think that men are trained better to be like the fake it till you make it perspective of bluster on the school ground, I think is a lot more prevalent in men. And that was one of the barriers that I encountered when I went into what has been a pretty male dominated sector every time I'm in courses, education. And it took me a long time to realize those jackasses don't know what they're talking about at all. I believe that. So
Actually, I
must be
think
a
we're
fight.
trained to think that way by our fathers, and even so no crap, there I was in Army medic school. Here's the thing. Basically, the U.S. Army has 12 weeks to make you a paramedic.
Mm, that doesn't seem like long enough.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's definitely a crash course, and there's literally a block of instruction that says, "Hey, one day you may end up in a situation to where your friends are bleeding. You're looking at the picture of gore, and the face on it is someone that you know well, and maybe you even love them as a brother. And in your mind, you're going to say, I have no idea what to do." And in that moment, the first thing you should do is point to someone and say, "Hey, go get me this thing. You go get me this thing." Start
Right.
bringing
Yeah.
order to the situation and move forward as if you know what's going on. And you may figure it out or they may die, But the most important the thing in that situation is for the entire unit to have confidence that you
Mhm.
know what's going on. Because if they lose confidence in their medic, then they will lose confidence to pursue the fight.
Or in living, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're seeing somebody shaking hands over top of you. So, fascinating. I'm sure it is very carefully crafted and built together, but I find a conflict with it and the power of vulnerability that raises people up. I mean, during the pandemic, I would see women just with their children or their parents that they were caring for in the middle of a Zoom call in their dining room, having these incredible struggles. And I was intentionally getting my daughter to interrupt me on those calls. I would schedule and say, "Hey, Ruby, come and get me at 1:17 and interrupt me," because I wanted to demonstrate that it was okay to have a family, that it was okay to have these conflicting things in this crazy weird time, and that like make it safe. And I think that's not necessarily vulnerability, but there are a lot of ways of vulnerability that do make it safe. So maybe
It's
that is,
modeling good behavior.
yeah, that's all right, take it. Yeah. It's it, but it's making humanity okay while also driving forward. And I mean, I cannot disparage that critical training. I would definitely not want to see the EMT in the ambulance hands shaking and not knowing
Freaking
what they're
out.
doing, right? That's
Right.
going to make me feel a lot less comfortable. Absolutely. But when big news comes down that impacts your work, it's also okay to be like, yeah, I don't know about these people. It's a
Yeah, there's a time and a place for everything, right? So, like that
yeah.
moment, Army Medic School, you have to inspire confidence. However, my the way I manage it now is being the dumbest person in the room is literally opening up the vulnerability to everyone and inviting them into the experience to be part of the collective, which
Mhm.
is quite powerful. And even when, especially if you're brought in as a consultant or an expert, which I mean they throw that term around like pretty easily these days. Um, for someone to show up and say, "Hey, I need everybody's help with this," and it's inspiring, and people more often than not will take that journey with you.
Mm. So is the way to battle imposter syndrome like demystify it and be honest with it and hear what it is actually saying, validate if it's important or worthwhile, and figure out if you're going to change, if you're going to change with others. I mean, I think it's different in every situation. We've looked at so many different
Yeah.
continuums along the whole paradigm, but it's a gift, imposter syndrome.
What does it speak to you? And I think this is personal for everyone. Me personally,
Yeah.
that feeling, that voice, now that I understand it and I understand when it's going to happen, I can almost predict.
Mm.
But sometimes it still catches me off guard, but it lets me know that I'm in the right place doing the right work at high enough stakes. I get easily bored, and I get careless when I'm bored, and I like generally don't care about anything anyways because like nobody shot at me today. Like it's a good day. My
Mhm.
boss yelled at me, so. But when that voice jumps into my head, over time I have learned that even though it can feel paralyzing, I am on the verge of greatness. I am turning out one of my best projects ever. When this is implemented, people are going to tell me, like, Tim, this is industry leading, this is benchmark setting. Like, how did you think to do it this way? And it's because I'm not smart. So I don't know a way to think about doing it. So I just make it up. But I am always on the precipice of greatness. The stakes are high enough that it matters to me. And when I feel that, when I hear that voice, it causes me to say, hey, pay attention, dial it in, and push through, because this is going to be some of your best work ever. And so, even though it's not comfortable, I don't let it overwhelm me. And it's actually reassuring to me that I'm in the right place, doing the right work at the right stakes. Um, and that can be a project, that can be a conversation. If I get nervous about a conversation or a presentation, I know I'm taking it to the next level. I'm pushing the edge of my comfort. And for me, that's where I need to be, to
Yeah,
be truly
especially
effective and to be creative, right?
yeah, absolutely. If you're not the tip of the spear, I don't enjoy doing repetitive things. I want to be doing the new thing. And as soon as I understand what to do, I want to pass it to someone else to keep doing
Right.
it and go back to doing the new thing. So in a way, imposter syndrome is a growth indicator, right? You are challenging yourself. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. So the more imposter syndrome, and it can be paralyzing. I don't want to,
Sure.
there's times that you just have to allow it, partner with it. But I really like the direction that you're going. Imposter syndrome as a growth indicator means you haven't felt it in a couple of days, weeks, or months. Are you
You know,
doing hard enough things anymore?
and it doesn't come right away. Like, you can't just make a decision to be like, I'm going to be fine with it. You have to see the outcomes over
Yeah.
time. You have to watch the patterns to understand what it means to you and what it actually signifies. For some people, it may signify that they're in trouble and they need to find help and they need to do whatever. But once you figure that out, and it usually happens within specific types of circumstances or subject matter, you can plan for that. You can preempt it. Like I said, for me, oftentimes I know going into certain things that is going to hit me, and I prepare myself for it.
Mhm.
Um, there was a tennis legend that just retired, Roger Federer. I don't know if you watch tennis.
Oh, yeah. Remember Roger?
Um, and he was just winning crap left and right. He's going to be one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And like 5 years ago, a reporter said, hey, do you even get nervous anymore? And he said, yeah. Before the really big matches, he's like, I'm nauseous. And I wouldn't want it any other way, because I know it matters. When it doesn't matter anymore, why am I even here? And I think that can apply to this.
Absolutely. Plus, I really like the journey conversation because I was thinking, people that are listening and watching this, I don't want, if they're in a way of their life, a part of their life that the imposter syndrome is just absolutely oppressive and overwhelming. There have been times that I've been like absolutely tied down by it. And what I should have done is quit my job or, got changed departments or definitely gotten out of that
Or told
environment
somebody
or told somebody, asked for
and
help.
realize you're not alone.
Definitely. So I do think that um, in a way, like we're both beneficiaries from surviving imposter syndrome to the point that it's become a partner. But depending on where you are in your career journey, especially if you're in the middle of making a big pivot and you're unsure about it, it can get absolutely really, really overwhelming. It's not giving more voice to it than it deserves. It's listening to what it actually does have to say, and reflecting on the successes, the times that you've had it in the past and how it's made you better. I do like it as a growth indicator, but I think at the beginning of my career, it was probably just, I mean, I call it worry o'clock when I'm up at 3 in the morning for an hour and just thinking about, and there are months and months and years that you can end up with a worry o'clock situation. I get it less and less these days, but when I do, I'm going to try to remember. I'll put a post-it note above my bed. Growth indicator, growth indicator. This is okay now, but it's only because I've survived that I'm able to recognize.
Exactly. Well, this was a good series.
It.
A lot of fun. Well, let us know if this was helpful, and feel free to reach out if you want to chat about it. This is not a simple topic. I think we've tried to simplify it, but definitely this is a struggle and a journey. And stay tuned. I think Helen and I are going to be recording a new series as well.
Great. And if you can help Tim edit so that you don't see when my brain just went completely blank, that would be really, really
But
helpful.
that's the best, right?
Oh
That's that
no,
vulnerability
I
you were
just want to
talking
say
about.
I show vulnerability. I don't want to actually do it. I mean, the platform that we both have sort of developed is about saying safe things now. So
Here we
that
go.
was unsafe. I want to hide it because it makes me feel like an imposter from even being up here. So
And there we go. Ever the consultant. Do what I say, not what I do. Love it. Helen, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.